Welcome to Movie Recap, a channel dedicated to those addicted to movies. Our focus is to showcase the best recap of your favorite flick. Sit back, grab your popcorn, and get ready to be amazed by Joker. Arthur Fleck, a party clown, leads an impoverished life with his ailing mother. However, when society shuns him and brands him as a freak, he decides to embrace a life of crime and chaos. Spoilers ahead. 1981 in Gotham City, for a business named Ha-Ha's, Arthur Fleck performs as a hired clown. He has to dance and wave a sign around to advertise a store. A bunch of punk teenagers steal the sign, leading Arthur to chase them into an alley. They violently kick him while he is on the ground after smashing the sign against his face. Gotham is now dealing with issues including poverty, unemployment, and crime. For both his medication and his ongoing mental health difficulties, Arthur sees a social worker. A young child observes Arthur as they travel home on the bus. The youngster finds it amusing when he makes funny faces, but his mother orders Arthur to leave the boy alone. When the mother questions Arthur, he starts laughing wildly and hands her a card explaining that he has a condition that makes him laugh that way. Arthur goes back to his house, where he resides with his frail mother Penny. Murray Franklin is the host of the talk show they are watching. Arthur visualizes himself being on the program and catching Murray's eye. Arthur charms Murray and the audience in his daydream by saying that he looks after his mother. Penny, who once worked for Thomas Wayne, has written to him in an effort to improve their living circumstances. After learning about the mugging event, Arthur's co-worker Randall at Ha-Ha's gives him a gun for protection. Sophie DeMond, a single mother who lives next door, has captured Arthur's heart. She addresses him pleasantly, yet he acts strange and uncomfortable in her presence. He spends his entire day pursuing her at one point. She visits his apartment later and inquires about if he is stalking her. He acknowledges that he was, but she doesn't appear to be offended. She receives an invitation to his stand-up comedy performance. To perform, Arthur goes to the comedy club. Before starting his routine, which isn't very humorous, he begins out by giggling wildly. Sophie seems to be enjoying Arthur's jokes in the audience. Later, Arthur visits a children's hospital to provide entertainment for the kids there. His gun, which he had with him, drops to the ground. Later, Arthur's employer berates him for doing this as well as for misplacing the store's sign, where he was robbed. Randall further asserts that Arthur procured the firearm on his own. Arthur is dismissed, and after confronting Randall about handing him the gun, he departs from Ha-Ha's. When Arthur's social worker informs him that the city is discontinuing financing for that facility and closing it, Arthur's already difficult week will become even more difficult for him to obtain his medications. Arthur, dressed as a clown and returning from Ha-Ha's, notices three young Wall Street types pestering a woman. The woman smartly sprinted away from that car as Arthur began to giggle and attracted the attention of the males. Before they begin to beat Arthur, the men taunt him and he laughs as they approach him. Following the final man out of the train, Arthur kills him on the stairs after pulling out his gun and murdering two more of them. Arthur hides in a restroom, still reeling from what he just accomplished. After a short while, he starts dancing alone. As word of the killing spreads, some people interpret it as an assault on the rich, while others applaud the crime. Thomas Wayne speaks out and expresses his disgust. One of Penny's letters to Thomas is subsequently discovered by Arthur, proving that he is in fact Thomas's son. Young Bruce is introduced to Arthur at Wayne Manor. When Arthur tries to make Bruce grin by putting his hands through the barrier, Alfred steps in and tells him to go. Alfred responds that he remembers Penny and that she lied to him when Arthur brought up his mother and her relationship with Thomas. Arthur makes an attempt to attack Alfred but fails and flees. Burke and Garrity, two detectives, visit Arthur's apartment to interview him about the subway killings after hearing that the suspect was wearing clown makeup. They are aware that Arthur had been fired earlier that day. Arthur gets the detectives to leave after denying any participation. Soon after, Penny becomes ill and needs to be hospitalized. As Arthur attends to his mother, Sophie sits at his side. When Arthur notices that a tape from his stand-up act is being aired on Murray's show while he is in the hospital, he is upset to learn that Murray only did so to make fun of Arthur. At a public gathering, Arthur runs across Thomas and tries to tell him that he might be his father. Penny is mentioned by Arthur, and Thomas also recalls Penny. He claims that she was insane and that Arthur could not possibly be his son. Before Thomas can strike Arthur and knock him out of the building, Arthur starts laughing in Thomas's face. Later, a representative for Murray's show calls Arthur. He accepts the invitation to show up as a guest. Arthur visits Arkham Asylum in search of concrete evidence, where he speaks with Carl, a clerk who is in charge of Penny's file. Arthur grabs the file and flees to read it after Carl refuses to give him the information he seeks. The truth is that Penny molested Arthur after taking him in when he was discovered abandoned. Arthur's head injury is mentioned in one section of the file. This is most likely what caused his laughing disorder. When Arthur returns to the hospital, he tells Penny that he initially believed his life to be a tragedy but has since realized it is actually a comedy. He then suffocates Penny to death. Arthur enters Sophie's flat while on his way back to his house. When she recognizes him, she begs him to go out of fear for her daughter. This reveals that every other time Sophie appeared, it was all in Arthur's imagination. Arthur is found dancing in the street by Burke and Garrity. He flees, and they pursue him into the underground, where dozens of other people from Gotham have dressed as clowns in response to the killings. Burke unintentionally kills a clown who comes in the way of the cops' pursuit of Arthur. The detectives are pulled out of the subway by the clowns, who then begin beating them, allowing Arthur to escape. Murray and his agent Jean meet Arthur. Arthur requests Murray to refer to him as Joker before continuing because Murray did so when playing his tape. As the show starts, Arthur leaves. He uncomfortably cracks a joke with Murray before confessing to the murders in the subway. Murray and the audience begin to comprehend Arthur's seriousness. According to Arthur, the audience only feels sympathy for the victims because Thomas Wayne spoke for them. Otherwise, he claims, he would just be ignored and passed by. Murray, the audience, and Arthur all become angrier with him, but he also does. Arthur gets reprimanded by Murray, which causes Arthur to lose control and blow Murray's brains out in front of everyone. The audience flees in fear, and the murder's news is broadcast right away. After learning what Arthur has done, enraged residents in clown costumes have taken over Gotham. When the Wayne family leaves a theater, they are met by the mayhem on the streets. One clown follows Thomas as he leads Martha and Bruce into an alley and quips that he is giving him what he deserves. He then kills Thomas and Martha in front of Bruce with a gun. Arthur has been detained by the police and is being transported, but clowns in an ambulance break into the vehicle and set Arthur free. The rioters then applaud Arthur as he stands on a car and accepts their adulation after finally receiving the attention he had been seeking for so long. After some time, Arthur is imprisoned in Arkham. He claims he wants to share a joke with the new social worker he encounters, but she wouldn't grasp it. After leaving a trail of bloody footsteps, Arthur exits the room before being pursued by staff members. We really hope you enjoyed today's recap of Joker. Please leave a comment below on what you loved about the movie and why. Be sure to like the video and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing so you don't miss any amazing content. Until next time, lights, camera, action. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.